Last year, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won quite possibly, and this is my opinion. You could let me know in the comment section down below because what I'm about to say might piss some of you guys off. But I believe this was Tom Brady's most difficult Super Bowl to win to date. Now, I'm going to go ahead and justify why in just a second, but the scary thing is, after this training camp update that I'm about to give you guys, most of us are going to be even more terrified of Tom Brady, as if that were even possible. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. Next week, I'm going to be announcing the winner of my Apple AirPod Maxes. All you have to do to enter is follow me on Instagram at TheFlightMike, and also suggest other things you guys would want me to give away. Some of you guys suggested just jerseys because I could probably do those more frequently. And now that we get all that out of the way,
I think the assumption comes from the belief that it'll just be exactly like it was last year. I think that's what you gotta not fall into, is that, oh, this is the way it worked last year, so this is the way it'll be this year. And the reality is everything's different. The teams will approach you a little bit differently, kind of the team everyone's watching now. So there's different degrees of expectation. There's more external noise. There'll be more people that are wanting to come to games, more opportunity to do things outside of football. And I think the reality is you got to stay focused on, what's really important. How do you improve? How do you get better from week to week, day to day? Improve your routine, improve your communication with your teammates, with your coaches. Not allow your mind to really, fall into this position that you make this assumption that just because you did something in February that you'll do it again next February. Because that's not the reality of football. It's way too competitive. Even the games, a lot of games we won last year were very razor thin margins. One or two plays, make the difference in every game. So how I feel about it and how BA has talked about it with our team, he's done a great job of keeping us focused, keeping the intensity there, allowing us to continue to work out together and communicate and make improvements that we need to make, because I feel like, we're not finished products. And it was really our first opportunity to play together last year. And there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow into something that could be, very different. We got to improve the things that we did well, and we got to, certainly build on a lot of things that we didn't do very well. So all those things can be improved, and I think that's a commitment to a daily process of trying to improve, and it just comes from working at it. And we have a lot of guys who like to do that. Very competitive group of guys.
Mike check 1212. What's going on, everybody? Last year's Super Bowl victory by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wasn't something I was anticipating at all whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the moment Tom Brady signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I hope you guys don't judge me, and I hope you could at least respect the fact that I'll hold myself accountable for really silly and bad takes, I tweeted a picture of Joe Montana in a Kansas City Chiefs jersey and said, "This is Tom Brady on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers." And I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. By the way, if you're curious to know how Joe Montana's tenure with the Kansas City Chiefs went, we have a separate video on that. But in this instance, what was fascinating is I don't think there's ever been a scenario where a 43-year-old quarterback decided to leave the only NFL head coach he's ever known, that he's experienced a tremendous amount of success with in winning 6 Super Bowls with him and making 8 trips to the Super Bowl with him, decided to migrate to a brand new climate, sunny Florida, sign a contract with a team who's notorious for having 2 very good wide receivers, a first-round tight end that still has yet to 100% fulfill his potential, and a pass rush that had 1 good year as a pass rush with Shaq Barrett and Ndamukong Suh at the time. But then you also add in other things that just seemed insurmountable for this man to achieve. And one of the things that aren't talked about as much is the fact that this man, Tom Brady, had to pick up one of the more complicated offensive schemes in the NFL. And I've said this multiple times during the NFL year last year, where Carson Palmer came in and commented on how difficult it was to learn Bruce Arians' offensive scheme. Now, this quote has to do with Jameis Winston, because at the time that this interview was given, it was January of 2020. At the time, we all thought that Jameis Winston was going to come back for a second year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is after his famous 30-30 season. And Carson Palmer said this in regards to what he expects from him statistically.
It's such a difficult, mentally, it's such a difficult offense. It is not easy. There are tons of formations, tons of shifts. Every play can change the line of scrimmage protection-wise. There's so many different concepts. We would go into game plans, and I know Tampa went into game plans with the possibility of having, 300 to 400 plays come off the play sheet. So it's not a simple offense. You watch Baltimore play, and you watch some of these teams that are just dynamic on offense, and they're putting in each game plan probably half the amount of plays that Bruce carries. So it's not a simple offense to just pick up and start off year one and go out there and have a Pro Bowl year. It takes years. It takes years for the quarterback, and it takes years for the guys outside, because there's multiple opportunities where receivers have the option to run one of two routes, and they don't make that decision and make that cut until they get to the top of the route. And that's just something you need time. You need experience within that system, and that's something you don't have. You don't have that experience in year one. You need year one to go back and watch the film and see yourself doing it wrong, and the receivers seeing themselves do it wrong. And then year two, really things start to click, and that chemistry starts to develop, and that trust and that confidence in the offense starts to develop. So if Jameis is back in Tampa, I would expect year two to be a massive year for him.
And then you factor in the fact that Tom Brady joined this team in the midst of a global pandemic, and the fact that the team was constantly changing throughout the year, acquiring Rob Gronkowski when Tom Brady signed, eventually signing Leonard Fournette when he was cut by the Jaguars, eventually signing Antonio Brown when he was available. And there were just a lot of obstacles for this man to overcome to succeed. But ultimately, they did overcome those obstacles. My favorite one, and I say this in almost all of my videos, is the fact that Bruce Arians actually gave up some of his pride. He signed Antonio Brown despite not wanting to sign Antonio Brown because Tom Brady wanted him. He decided to integrate some pre-snap motion reads for Tom Brady to have an easier time reading defenses. And well, this all ties into what we're seeing in training camp so far, because this year it seems like the global pandemic has lessened a little bit. And the scary part is Tom Brady is becoming more comfortable with Tampa Bay's offense, heading into his second season with head coach Bruce Arians and offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. After the team's first mandatory minicamp practice on Tuesday, Bruce Arians talked to the media about Brady's increased comfort level with the offense. Now, bear in mind, this is a significantly more complicated offense, which Tom Brady had more time to finally learn a little bit more without all the craziness that ensued with his first year. And bear in mind, that first year he won a Super Bowl. So this is what Bruce Arians is saying in terms of Tom Brady's development. It's that second, third, and fourth read where the guys are going to be knowing where to throw. He's had some really good third or fourth options to Jaden Mickens today. The significance of this is that that's a guy that he doesn't work with all the time, but he was spot on in that stuff. All that verbiage isn't new now, so he can spit it out. He knows what it means, he knows where they're going to be, and I'm really pleased with the receivers today. Their conditioning and their route spacing was outstanding. Now, you might be wondering why these players are in such phenomenal shape. Well, we all know that Tom Brady is notorious for his private off-season workouts, where he does force players to wake up at 6 in the morning and puts them through a military boot camp-like workout in order to get their conditioning right. Chris Godwin had this to say about at least where he's standing with Tom Brady and chemistry. I think the biggest difference is that the timing is a little bit better. Like you said, the difference in him knowing the playbook, knowing what he likes and what he doesn't like, and us knowing what to expect in terms of ball placement, velocity on the ball, and all those things really do help. I would say that's the biggest difference. So you might be wondering, okay, what about the other players outside of Tom Brady? Well, first round draft pick and outside linebacker Joe Tryon practiced for the first time on Tuesday since undergoing a knee scope this offseason. Bruce Arians said that he's full speed now and he looked really, really good. He's obviously everything we thought he was. We're learning more in pads, but he's slippery in shorts. A lot of guys aren't. He showed a really good skill set. Now, players that didn't participate include Ndamukong Suh, Jordan Whitehead, O.J. Howard, Antonio Brown. Rookie Jalen Darden tweaked his hamstring and he was held out, but also bear in mind that Tom Brady played a role in Jalen Darden's selection in the NFL draft. In terms of injuries, Bruce Arians had this to say: OJ Howard is really close. We're going to be extremely cautious with him, but he's not far away. Antonio Brown's probably got 2 more weeks. He doesn't need to be rushed into it. Whitehead's a little bit further off. He's a little farther off, but he'll be fine. None of those guys will have any problem for training camp. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have something extremely unique here, not only in the fact that they have a quarterback that's turning 44 this year, but in addition to that, you have a Super Bowl team that didn't even fulfill their potential, at least by their standards last year, in terms of comfort in the offense. But in addition to that, they were able to retain each and every single one of their free agents, from Shaq Barrett to Levante David to Ndamukong Suh to Chris Godwin. All of this is going to make for a very unique situation, as I believe these Buccaneers might be quite possibly the most dominant team we've ever seen Tom Brady captain. And that's a bold statement considering some of the other teams that Tom Brady was the quarterback for. Let me know what you guys think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and this update in the comment section down below. If you made it to the end and enjoyed the content, make sure you sack the like button for the YouTube algorithm and consider subscribing to stay notified. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.